On today's show, reportedly, Anthony Davis wants to stay in Dallas. The Mavericks cannot extend him under any circumstances. Today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
I think that's a good question.
Good morning, Isaac. All these changes, I still got my dog, Dwight Powell.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave you.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like that.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. Thanks for being it every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen and making Locked On Podcast Network. What is it? The #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. Right alongside me, the trade rumor reject, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Come on, Stein. You can't tease us like that.
Oh, just
Stein shot out the tweet today. I was in the middle of a meeting too, and that hit, and I made the mistake of looking at my phone during the meet, and then I was just all thrown off, and I was like,
Did you gasp?
No, I was just like, oh, crap, it's about to go down, and I'm like talking in the meeting whenever it happened.
Oh, it's a meeting you need to be part of?
Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And it didn't happen. So I thought we were headed down a path. Not yet.
We'll talk about the Trea Young Wizards Hawks rumors that Mark Stein was reporting about. That was the whole thing that we thought, ooh, maybe this is actually getting going with an Anthony Davis trade potentially. We'll talk about Daniel Gafford potentially. We'll talk about his market and deals for him. If the Mavs do trade Anthony Davis, what do you do with Gafford? We'll get into all that. But let's start here. Tim McMahon reported this earlier today. Not a surprise to anybody, but it's interesting to actually hear it reported that Anthony Davis's preference would be to stay in Dallas and get the extension this summer. I've got two things to say about that. One of them, yeah, of course he would want to stay with the Dallas Mavericks. Of course he would want to stay and get the extension, right? It's not just stay in Dallas. It's stay in Dallas and get the extension, right? It's the two things connected to it. Of course he wants to get that extension. He's eligible for like a 4-year, $275 million deal that would keep him in Dallas till he was 37 years old. He's getting paid $70 million at the end of that. Like, of course he would want to do that because Dallas is a team that bet on him. Obviously, that the person that bet on him is gone. The owner is still there, though, that signed off on the trade. So maybe there's still something there. And so, of course, he would want to stay here and he would want to get that money. The other part of this, I think, is that maybe this means that Rich Paul, his agent, went to all the other teams because they have been clear, hey, we want to go to a team that's going to be good for us, that's going to give us the extension. He went to all of their teams and was like, hey, what do you guys think about an extension for AD? And they all said, yeah, maybe not. Like, I don't think we're going to do an extension for you. And then that means he came back and goes, you know what? Actually, we'd rather stay in Dallas and get the extension from you guys if you guys are still wanting to do something like that. And that's where I sit with this and go, man, it'd be cool if Anthony Davis felt loyalty to Dallas and wanted to prove things. And, the end of our intro says, I want to give the city life back. And if he felt some kind of way about it, but this does not scream to me that any of that. It screams to me, yes, of course he would want the extension, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think anything like that has ever changed for AD's part. Like, I think he's won ever since the trades happened and he settled down. Like, he's done everything right. He's been involved in the community. He's played whenever. He's fought to play at different times, even when he's not healthy. He's been on the floor and when he probably shouldn't have been on the floor at times, playing through injuries. Like, he really honestly wants to do well in Dallas. And I don't think any of that's changed recently either. I think he's wanted to stay in Dallas. If Dallas is willing to give the extension, I think he would prefer that over any other option out there. And I don't think that's ever changed. Heck, it's Cooper Flagg. It's Kyrie Irving. We know how much he loves Kyrie Irving and Jason Kidd and all the stuff. Texas taxes doesn't, that's not a bad thing either with your income tax. So I think all of that stuff, I don't think there's ever been any, to this point, I don't know if I want to be in Dallas or not from AD's side. I think he always wants to stay there, but he wants to get paid. That's always been the thing. Like, we've been saying on this podcast for multiple weeks now that I've been very adamant about that. The extension stuff might drive this more than whether they're going to tank or not. And I think a lot of people's like, oh, okay, well, if they want to tank to get a higher pick, then you got to trade Anthony Davis.
Shut him down instead.
Yeah. And I'm like, that is not going to be the biggest driver, I think, to an AD trade. It's going to be, are you willing to give him an extension? And that's why I did the whole one more thing the other day. I went through 5 different paths they could do with Anthony Davis, and even a couple different paths of what you could do if you wanted to give him an extension. I just, I saw that report today from McMahon, and I just like laughed. I'm like, well, yeah, you want the extension. Like, I've had this thing with my kids for a couple years now.
Are they asking for extensions too?
Yeah, they want like a max extension. I'm like, listen, you guys.
One of your kids is worth the max. The other one is not. I won't tell you which one I think.
Y'all have been sick so much. So, but no, I've had this thing with my kids where, kids always say, well, I want this. I want this. I want this thing at Target. I want this toy. I want this. Why can't I get this? And for years, I've always responded, well, I want a truck. Like, and it's my way of like, and it became a thing after, literally I've said this for over 2 years when they're like, hey, I want this big Lego set from Target. And it's like, yeah, well, I want a truck too. I've wanted a truck forever, but you don't get everything you want. And so it's became a whole big thing over the years of anytime that they've said something they really want that they couldn't get, I'm like, hey, what do I want? And they're like, oh, truck. And they're just like so miserable about it. Now, I eventually got my truck.
I was going to say, you have a truck. I've seen it.
This past year, which is a huge thing for me. I've waited years and years and years for this.
You know what? Just shout out.
Oh, it was a big thing for me.
That's the day you became a Texan right there.
But the point of that is, yeah, we all want freaking things because you don't get everything you want. And some of it's just in like, you're not going to get a full max extension. Sorry. Like, you're not going to get it from anybody probably, let alone the Mavericks. And I've said the other day, I don't even want to give the Durant deal to him, which is like 2 for $90, which is like $45 a year. I don't even want to dip down to like the Kyrie Irving type of deal to where it's like 36, in that first year or something like that. I don't think Clutch is probably going to like want something like that. They're probably going to look at, hey, can we get a Durant type of deal from somewhere? If we can't get the full 4 year, can we get a 2 year 45, 2 year 50 per, something like that? But I just don't even want to be in that short-term business either. And it's not about him personally. It's just where he's at in his career and the asset. And with Cooper Flagg in the fold, I just don't think it's smart for the Mavs.
We're talking about it. This extension would start 2 years from now in the offseason, 2.5 years from now. The amount,
there could be a world in which it voids the player option and starts in.
But even so, a year and a half from now, like so much can happen between now and then. Think about a year and a half ago and what we were talking about and what we're talking about now. So much can change, and so for them to talk about that far in advance, it just is not going to happen, or it shouldn't happen. Is what I'm trying to say. The other part of this was what you just said. The other thing I was going to say, there's just no world where I think that they should give him any kind of extension. Like if you can't, let's say you can't trade Anthony Davis at all, you run out this deal and then you gotta figure out something else. Like maybe it's you re-sign him to a smaller deal, but an extension at this point, you've got to see what he is 2 years from now.
Why do you think reverse it? Why do you think Rich Paul wants that extension now?
Oh, because he's got at least some leverage.
They want the extension now because if you do play out this contract, he might just continue playing 1/3 of the games. And then you definitely not going like it's just the common sense part of it. Like, you probably have a depreciating asset, and it's like,
do you think Rich Paul's having a going out of business sale?
Well, no, it's just like you're trying to get as much money as you can now because the way it is, he's only played in 1/3 of the games in Dallas. He's played in half of the games this year. So it's like if that continues, which has been kind of a story of his career, then if he plays out the rest of this contract, it's not going to be good at the other end. So you got to try to get that money now. And that's what I've been saying all along. If you don't trade him right now, if this conversation's happening right now, if you don't take care of it now, this coming summer, it's only going to be louder. And then it could get awkward and weird and ugly. Like, we've seen this before. That's all, folks. Like, in this situation, the shirt, New Orleans, everything, like AD, Clutch, like, and once again, I don't blame them. If they can get their money somewhere else, go get your money. It's not about that. It's just, I don't want to get into the summer and then we're dealing with then it's like that type of stuff could really tank value then.
You think you're annoyed? Listen to us talk about this now. Imagine if we're talking about this in July, August when the extension, he's actually eligible for it. Imagine all that.
Yeah. I don't think we're have to worry about it. I think he's going to be traded in the next few weeks anyway.
And this goes back to, like, we're at the point where we're not even willing to offer an extension to this guy. Like, it's crazy that this was the main centerpiece in that trade.
Now it's crazy? It's been crazy.
It was crazy the night we talked about it. But I'm telling you, it's crazy. Almost a year, like, what is it, 11 months now? I think 11 months.
Yeah, I think at some
Even
point,
crazier.
my prediction of like what the timeline will be, and it isn't some like wild prediction. I think eventually they'll find a home. Atlanta will find a home for Trae Young, and it'll offset that salary. Whether it's the same trade or a separate trade, AD goes to Atlanta, and then with the agreement on this upcoming summer, him signing like a 2-year, $80 million contract or something like that.
Yeah.
Extension.
Coming up, does the rumor today mean that an Anthony Davis trade is happening? The Wizards, Trae Young, Hawks, all that stuff. We'll tell you coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. It's an official pregame, limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before action starts. So you can go see what is available for you, all kinds of different things. There's a couple of games. We're recording this a little early, so a couple of games tonight. One I was looking at, Suns Rockets. Rockets 5.5 point favorite. The Suns just beat the Thunder the night before this one. So interesting one on that. The Thunder 13.5 point favorite against the Hornets. That's a lot of points, but still. You can do all kinds of stuff with FanDuel, not just games, not just NBA, but NFL as well. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Also brought to you by Quo. New year, new me, new you, new Mavs, new system. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be new Isaac too, new truck for Isaac. There has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that anybody can make. That's why this episode is brought to you by Quo. QUO, the smarter way to run your business communication, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, like Isaac in that meeting, even though he wasn't paying attention, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal because you can all see everything at once. It works right from your phone or computer. You can even keep your existing number, which is crucial. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening every day. Appreciate you for checking out the show. We have the Everydayers Club and the text line. 2 things that you can subscribe and support the show and get things. The Everydayer Club gets you access to ad-free episodes of this show, as well as the Discord. Text line gets you access to all kinds of alerts and rumors and access to the Discord as well. And so subscribe to both of those. Link in the description and the QR code. All right, Isaac, we're talking about the Mavs and the AD trades and the rumors and all that. And you mentioned you saw the Mark Stein tweet that came across your phone, and all of a sudden it says the Wizards have emerged as a legitimate potential trade destination for Atlanta's Trae Young. Steinline has learned in a deal constructed centered around CJ McCollum's expiring contract. And all of a sudden you go, hold on. We've got not only just the Hawks are trying to trade Trae Young, a team is interested in Trae Young, plus a player that will be in the deal from the other team. Like, all of a sudden this is coming together as an actual deal. Usually when we see these kinds of reports, it comes out like 10 minutes after the fact. A trade, like Shams comes in or something, like swoops in from nowhere and goes, trade is completed. It includes Corey Kispert and whoever else, whoever else is in this deal. And all of a sudden the deal is just done. Usually that's how it happens with things like this. But that didn't happen in this case. But a lot of people that cover the Mavs or probably you as fans saw this and said, ooh, one of the big holdups to the Anthony Davis to the Hawks trade has been Trae Young. The Mavs reportedly do not want Trae Young. We've talked about how it doesn't make any sense for the Mavs to try and get Trae Young. He doesn't fit with Kyrie Irving. It doesn't really fit the timeline with Cooper Flagg. The reason why the Hawks want to get rid of him is the reason why the Mavs wouldn't want him. There's all kinds of different reasons for that. He's up for an extension too, so there's all kinds of questions with that. The Mavs don't want Trae Young, and the Hawks are trying to get rid of Trae Young, and they don't want to keep Trae Young and Anthony Davis. They don't want to do both. They don't want to do both of those things, and so they had to try and figure out a third team. And now that there's a suitor for Trae Young opens up the option that the Mavs Hawks AD trade could actually go through.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first reaction to it. I was like, all right, well, this was one of the holdups, right? It was like, at some point, we just said, on yesterday's pod, or like, hey, the things that's holding this thing up, we think, in this opinion, is like, hey, they got to find a home for Trae Young at some point. And whether it's looped into a bigger trade, 3 or 4 team deal, or even if it happens separate, if we get a notification before you even listen to this, and it's like the Hawks and Wizards have agreed upon a trade, then it does. If Trae Young leaves the Hawks, the odds of Anthony Davis ending up in Atlanta immediately go up. So, and on top of that, you're getting CJ McCollum's expiring. So if they do a trade, something like that, now all of a sudden they have, with Kennard in that too, with KP, I mean, you're looking at like $70 million in expiring contracts. So then, if you looped in Dallas, there's super easy ways you could do that, of just those 3 main pieces, with CJ going to Dallas, with AD going to Atlanta, Trae go to Wizards. Washington has to throw around $7 million in that deal to make it work.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at their other players around that mark, it's some of their young pieces. So it's hard to find Washington outside of like a Corey Kispert, who makes, $14 million. So then you got to add a few more players in there. So you could send, it could very easily be McCollum and Kispert. Kispert goes to Atlanta. McCollum goes to Dallas. Throw Kennard to Dallas. Throw Risa Shea to Dallas. And then, that's your deal right there, and it works. And throw a pick in there. The only part that's like, hard with that is like, would Atlanta, is Trae Young, Risa Shea, and a first? Is that too much for Atlanta to give up for AD and Kispert?
That's an insane statement. Like, just think about Anthony Davis. Like, where are
I know,
we with
but
this
it's
whole
just
thing,
like,
right? Like,
I just so much respect.
He went for Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, like all those players that he went for those years ago with the Lakers Pelicans trade. Like, and that was when he was forcing his way out. Like,
I just want to give an applause right now to Nick right now. Nick's brave soul here posted a fake trade online on Twitter, and there's nothing like, I honestly have stopped doing it to Twitter. I'll do it
look
with
at the replies. You just post it and you just bomb it and leave.
Nick throws a grenade into a room and shuts the door by posting any type of hypothetical trade on Twitter especially, because it is like,
it's so bad.
Just a war zone. And it's awesome. I mean, from you don't know ball, you're stupid,
yeah, right.
And of course you're a Mavericks fan too. That's pretty legit.
Like that's great. Call it in. Yes, absolutely.
Call it in, all sides.
And
It's just, it's incredible.
The deal I posted was Anthony Davis, Naji Marshall, and Corey Kispert to the Hawks. So Naji Marshall gets thrown into it. Wizards get Trae Young.
Keep going.
And then the Mavs get CJ McCollum's expiring contract, Porzingis' expiring contract, which gives the Mavs a lot of like possibilities. The Mavs would get a Hawks 2026 first. I think that is there's a weird swap with all that. It would be the Cavs. If they can't do that pick, then it would be a future Hawks versus like 2030 or something like that, which I'd actually rather have that one than this year's. And they would also get OKC's 2026 first. So this year's first from the Wizards, because I don't think the Wizards give up their own pick, and the Wizards don't have any other real like picks that they would give up in it. And so that's the deal that I came up with. So swap the Atlanta's for like a 2030 pick from it first from Atlanta, but you throw Naji Marshall in there to give it a little extra oomph, throw some more salary in there. But it all works
like
out.
A knife in me when you say that.
I appreciate the knife reference, but that it wouldn't feel great. But you get two future picks and you get a ton of expirings, and I think that would just the Mavs just need a reset, and this would be a reset trade.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, because then that deal, that Hawks pick is like,
if you could do Caleb Martin instead of Naji Marshall. I got that reply a couple times. Like, okay, if you could do that, sure, of course you do that, right? But either
way, there are different mechanisms here that you could Atlanta could keep McCollum like in this type of deal and put Porzingis going to Dallas. I mean, that would make
both going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you had them both, and it's just a clear. I mean, that's clearing $60 million off your books there. But there's a world too. Yeah, it's where it's like McCollum stays in Atlanta, and it's McCollum, and AD that ends up in Atlanta, and it's Porzingis and going to Dallas at that point, and so which that might even make more sense from Atlanta's side because they're giving up Trea. They might want to get a guard back, and a guy like McCollum would be vet with that team and stuff. So there's just different ways to do that. Kispert is the one guy we haven't talked about, that there's a world in which Kispert could end up Dallas in something like that. Yeah. And, he's a good shooter, been in the league just, a handful of years. He is on an extension now. Any type of shooter added to this team, I'm down for. I'm not like super, super high on him. I'd probably be more high on adding.
Neither are the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be more higher on taking the Ricochet, flyer, but I'm not opposed to Kispert either.
The Mavs clearing, they cleared $67 million because AD's deal goes up, and so does Naji's. That wouldn't even make them a cap space team next year, which is another reason why we're talking about all this is because, man, the Mavs right now are looking at being, they wouldn't be a second apron team right now, but they wouldn't have very much room under that second apron to make any moves or even add anybody, and they're going to lose a couple players. And so you're looking at this and going, oh my gosh, this team cannot be a second apron team next season. It's just I've got that asked to me multiple times too. It's like, hey, you talk about clearing up cap, who are you going to spend the free agency money on? It's not about that. It's about gaining the flexibility moving forward. It's about not having to gut the rest of your roster on players who actually play and to duck the second apron. And it's about that type of, it's about not being in those penalties that you can be in the second apron that allows you the other type of flexibility, not even talking about money flexibility, but the other restrictions that come with that too. So it's just, there's a lot of flexibility it would add by not, locking in that much money to one player like that. For sure. Coming up, what other moves could we see the Mavs make? What about Daniel Gafford? What's his future look like? Talk about that in more. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, all kinds of things happening around you all the time. I love Game Time. I've used it a bunch. I've used it for Dallas Wings games a lot. Paige Becker's team, the Breeze, is playing an Unrivaled tonight. I wish I could go see that, but it is not in Dallas. There's all kinds of different things you can go see right now. February 28th at Dickies Arena, Lady Gaga happening in DFW. And then right down the road, Globe Life Field, Forrest Frank. Very different concerts those would be. Stars games, Mavericks games, Supercross, all kinds of things you can do. Ed Sheeran concert, another different one. WWE. There's all kinds of things you can do on Game Time, but the best thing about Game Time is you can see the view from your seat. You know exactly what you're going to pay up front because they show all the fees and all that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON NBA. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action with Game Time.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, talking about Mavs rumors around AD, the Hawks, and all that stuff, and I think we've given enough reasons to trade it, to trade AD. I think if you've listened to this show at all, you're probably not still in the camp of questioning, I don't understand why anybody wants to trade AD. I think people have gotten it at this point.
I think they have, and if you're asking the question too of how many times can you talk about it? Well, there's just new news. We're a daily show, so we're gonna cover any new news during the daily show. So,
it is new news. It just is.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Stuff has moved. Does this Wizards thing? Let's talk about the Wizards getting Trae Young. If you're the Wizards, why are you doing this?
I think, it's kind of like the Nembhard thing for Summer League. One of my biggest annoying things for Summer League teams is when they throw their prospects out there and they don't have a point guard that can run the system. Yeah. Because you really get to see the guys in roles that they should be playing in the league or will be playing. And it's when they added Ryan Nembhard to the Summer League roster, undrafted guy, I was like, oh, perfect Summer League guy. Because he just sets everybody up and he gets all the young players out there in positions that they should be playing or could be playing in the league. And I think in magnified way, that's the Wizards. Is they've been trying the Koulibaly experience, and I love Koulibaly, but they have these young pieces like him and Alex Sarr and Keyshawn George lit up Dallas, but the kid out of Miami, he's fine. It's like they have these different pieces. They're going to have a high draft pick. The thing with Trea, yes, he takes some dumb shots, but he does pass the ball. He is, he can be a floor general type of guy. Led the league in assists last year, I think. So I think in a way it would be a little bit of a breath of fresh air for Washington of like, all right, we actually have a point guard in here that can run point and set some of these guys up. And they would have to figure out how it doesn't affect their draft status and all of that.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have like a ton of cap space next year with both Middleton and CJ McCollum's deals being up. It's like, what are you going to use that on?
Yeah.
No one's come here, so you might as well get somebody that's going to fill that space anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't really have anybody else that you're paying big money to, so it's like you got to pay somebody to. Yeah, you got to pay somebody, and so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for Washington.
If they want to take a step forward, this is it, right? And you're going to be bad enough to get hopefully a top pick. I don't think they have their number one to build around going forward. Sarr has definitely taken a step forward this season.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one. They have a lot of like interesting young guys.
Trey Johnson can shoot the lights out. They have a lot of like fun prospects, but if you get a guard in there like Trey, they can set some things up. It could make them even better. Yeah,
and maybe elevate those guys. So
yeah,
we'll see. Daniel Gafford. So Tim Cato talked about him on our show a little while ago, and then mentioned there. I think there's another mention today. He reportedly has the most robust trade market out of any Mavs player. Is there a scenario where you're like, all right, yes, I'm trading Daniel Gafford for sure. Give me what you got. What is the thing that you're waiting on?
Like the return package.
Yeah, like if you got a first for Gafford, you're just like, all right, peace, gone.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like if you got a first for him, especially a decent first, I think I think there will be a decent market for him. It feels like there's so many teams that's looking for a big, and I think it's almost impossible. I mean, Jake Fisher said a while back, the Pacers' interest, that's more for their bounce back year. Pacers could be scary next year, by the way. It's the ultimate take the year off, and they could, add one of these top 3 or 4 picks and add their Tim Duncan to David Robinson, moves back in the day. And, if they make a trade for somebody like Gafford, that's their like move for heading into next year. He's still just 27. So, obviously, I think they trade Anthony Davis. I think it's a little harder then with Lively being out, but I think I think if someone gives you a first, you probably still do it and just figure out your big man position in the offseason. But Indiana's interesting with Gafford because they definitely have some different pieces. Like if you're interested in Obi Toppin, same age, but that's just kind of a weird fit. I like Nesmith, but I could be wrong, but I don't think he can be traded right now. I could be wrong on that, but
McConnell's a little extension kicking in 2 years.
Yeah, I still like him though. I mean, they got two young guys and Isaiah Jackson, even though he had a big injury last year. Jarris Walker, if you're still willing to take a flyer on him, he's just 22. He was a top 10 pick a couple years ago, but they're kind of like those like tweener positions of. Yeah, on the wing, what are you? But his shooting's been improved. But that's the thing with Gafford. It's just so hard. It's not like an Anthony Davis or Trea or something. His contract is like movable, and I think there's going to be whether it's a bad team, a team trying to bounce back, or a contender. I think all across the spectrum, like people could be interested. Not saying like everybody's going to be lining up with first round picks. I just think there could be a wide amount of teams interested in him.
Yeah, and for that market to be robust, I think is a positive thing. You get some kind of bidding war, and then maybe you do get a pretty solid first for him. And that's what you do in a rebuild is you look at some of the players and you're like, all right, 3 years from now, when Cooper Flagg is ready to start winning for real, and is Gafford part of that? And he's 30, potentially 31 at the end of this deal. I don't know. Maybe he probably could be. He also was not a huge part of that playoff run, right? So you go. Let's weigh some of these things, and I think that trading Gafford makes a lot of sense for the future. Doesn't make a lot of sense now. It'd be like trading AD and Gafford be like a lot of Musa and Dwight to end the season. But hey,
I mean, they're going to be picking high in the draft anyway. So Cisse has not been wasting away some of his games right now. That might be on purpose because there might be a lot of games.
Kid making that happen?
There might be a lot of games that Cisse needs to be playing after the deadline. So
Kid looked at Musa and said, "Hey, that bench."
He's got to touch it. He's got to rub it.
Oh my
and hold
God.
it.
Still can't believe that.
I can't believe I just caught you off guard with that.
That's incredible. Don't forget about D'Lo, the robust market for D'Lo.
Do you think anybody gives like somebody
Did you
just
get a
takes
report on
flyer
that?
him? There's been no reports on it, and also no reports on him playing. This is one of the weirdest things, and Kid does this with some players where it's like the Mavs obviously need a point guard so badly, like they could just use any point guard, and then they have a point guard, but he just won't play him. It won't play him without another point guard. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
he has not been good. He's not been good when he's played. I'm gonna say that, but it is just strange when you're like, hey, they have this glaring weakness. You have a player that at least fits that, and there's just been no. He's like DMP CD in some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, Trea's been like inactive for Atlanta the past few games. I mean, so it's like you kind of get like I think he knows that everybody's in agreement that he's probably going to be elsewhere. So it's like, all right, just chill over there. Just don't get hurt, and we might need that $5 million salary for something to match or something.
Yeah, we'll see. There you go. Let us know in the comment section what you think about the AD trade rumors, where you think he's going to go. Subscribe to the Everydayers program in the text line. We've got those links in the description as well as the QR code you saw. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.